morning. Are you ready to guess what's in the treasure chest? I'm excited. What's it gonna be, Django? Two things. We have a football and a baby doll. Well, these two things don't look like they could have much in common, but they are both going to teach us what it means to be devoted. So, I have a friend who has a son who has always loved balls, especially football. So some 2-year-olds like pacifiers or their blankie, but he loved balls. In fact, he would sleep with his football. He took it everywhere he went. He was devoted to football. And when he got older, he played football in elementary school, middle school, high school. He played on different leagues all year long, on holidays and weekends. And he was just thinking about football all the time. And he got really good at it. And now he has colleges asking him to play football. When we are devoted to something, we can get really good at it. And when we are devoted to God and we spend our time thinking about Him and His Word in the Bible, then we can get good at living a life that pleases God. And we will want to please God. Our hearts will want to please God because we love Him so much. Living a life that pleases God is a real treat, just like blueberries are for Django. Did I say blueberries? Django, how about a berry? Ready? Good boy. You know, I heard a story about a dog who loved his ball so much. Django, do you love your ball? Well, anyway, this dog would carry his ball to his water bowl, stick it in the water bowl while he drank his water so that he wouldn't have to be away from his ball. That is pretty funny. Our guest reader for the story today is Mrs. Meredith Davis, who leads our Tuesdays at 10 story time for our 5 and younger crowd. And she's going to read a special book called Elizabetty's Doll.
Elizabetty's Doll. Elizabetty had a new baby brother named Obedi. Elizabetty watched Mama take care of him, and she wanted to care for her own baby. She didn't have a doll, so she went outside and picked up a stick. She tried to hug it, but it poked her, and she dropped it on the ground. Then Elizabetty picked up a rock. It was just the right size to hold, and it didn't poke Elizabetty when she hugged it. She kissed the rock and named it Ava. When Obedi had a bath, he splashed and got Mama wet. When Ava had a bath, she behaved very nicely and only splashed a little. When Mama did her chores, she tied Obedi onto her back with a bright cloth called a kanga. When Elizabetty did her chores, she also tied Ava onto her back with a kanga. Mama had to help a little. When it was time for Elizabetty to get water from the village well, she took Ava out of the kanga and laid her on the ground near some other rocks so she wouldn't be lonely. Elizabetty soon returned with the water and took it to her sister Pendo inside the cooking hut where all the family's meals were made. Then Elizabetty ran outside to get Ava, but Ava was gone. Elizabetty looked all around, but she couldn't find Ava. Mama found a new rock and gave it to Elizabetty. Elizabetty shook her head when she saw it. The rock was just a rock. Pendo also brought Elizabetty a rock, but it wasn't Ava either. Elizabetty was very sad and sat quietly until it was time to help Pendo in the cooking hut. The family had rice for dinner every night, and it was Elizabetty's job to put the pot of rice on the fire pit, which was made of 3 large stones. Elizabetty sadly filled the pot with water and set it on the stones to boil. But one of the stones wasn't a stone at all. It was Ava. Elizabetty called for Mama, and together they moved the pot of water and rolled Ava away from the fire. Although Ava was a bit dirty, she hadn't been hurt. Ava sat quietly while Elizabetty cleaned her off and hugged her. That night, Mama covered Elizabeth and Ava with a blanket. She smiled and thought that one day Elizabeth would make a fine mother. Ava thought so too.
In the Bible, in Acts 2:42, it tells us how the disciples were devoted to God and to one another. It says they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. When we love something, we will devote ourselves to it. And when we love God, we will devote ourselves to Him as a mother devotes herself to caring for her child. It will take time and energy and love, but it will be worth it.